Yo, 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 yo. This is Merc Versus with industry rules of networking. This is the third blog in the series. And I'm going to go into the concept of loyalty and betrayal. In the world of business, when you talk about loyalty, usually it deals with contracts and living up to a contract. But a lot of us, when we go into situations, we don't have the knowledge or we don't feel like we have the need, if we're dealing with friends, to have a contract. So what we do is we use verbal agreements, which is also a form of a contract. But a lot of people don't feel like they have to abide by these contracts, especially people that are not that aren't honorable in terms of used to living up to their word. So therefore, you find yourself, when you affiliate and associate yourself with people that aren't honorable, they don't feel like a verbal agreement amounts to anything, and they feel that if circumstances change, that they can alter the stipulations of said agreement without any discussion, just because they don't feel like it's a good situation, which is not ever the case. But it's just not a good thing to do when you're dealing with working class people that live check to check, and we have to deal with a lot of personal issues, personal bills, and stuff like that. So a lot of times this can mess up a lot of circumstances for a person if they don't abide by them. In terms of a group, 9 times out of 10, when groups are formed, rap groups, musical groups, music groups, bands, someone usually takes the place of the leader or the lead man. And the person that's the front man of the band isn't always necessarily the business leader of the band. Sometimes those are two separate entities. But a lot of times it's the person that pushes the band forward and carries the weight of a lot of the work involving getting that band out there, that assumes the title and the job of a leader. Now, when you're dealing with groups, a perfect example, or the classic story, religious story, that deals with a similar situation, is Jesus and the 12 disciples. One of them was Judas. He actually betrayed Jesus, and not to liken our rap music to anything that remotely resembles a religious aspect, even though some of us do treat it like a religion. I mean, it's not. Some people just treat it like a hobby or a habit, a bad habit, or an excuse to go out and party. But when it comes to the actual the meat and potatoes of a group, there are decisions that have to be made, and there are decisions that usually fall in the lap of the person that assumes the command role, the commanding role, the leadership role. And this might be more than one person. It might be a few different people. Myself in particular, I've always been one about uniting the local scene, or just like uniting the scene in general. So around about 2007, after I had some personal issues I was dealing with for the past few years before that, I decided to form something locally in Muncie called the New Hip Hop Movement, and that consisted of Dodge City Mercenaries, Mystery School, which is myself and my brother. Dodge City Mercenaries was Jay Lee, who is now with UCamp, and Melcap, who is now with Street Corner Entertainment. He also does battle rap, a lot of battle rap. And Cutthroats, which are now affiliated with UCamp, actually Whitehead, and Syed Soze. And Syed Soze is one of the people that actually transitioned from the New Hip Hop Movement into my group that I built after that, called Ironworkers Guild, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the New Hip Hop Movement included these people, as well as Cottonmouth Records and Small Wonders and a few other entities. And it was just me trying to unite everyone. I wanted to put together like a CD. At this point in time, I was dealing with Storm demos, and I was putting out printed CDs pretty frequently, hundreds of printed CDs. I was dropping all kinds of stuff, from singles to albums to whatever. And I put out a New Hip Hop Movement CD, which had all these artists on it. And we had all ages venue that we were doing shows at here in Muncie called the Launching Pad in Ball State. And we had and this was back in 2007. 2007, 2008. And then we also had a venue called Doc's Music Hall that was a real popular venue downtown that eventually transitioned into Valhalla, which it is right now, the Valhalla Room, which is connected to the I.R.O.N downtown. For those that are locals, you'll know what I'm talking about. But basically, in terms of the group, that was my first stage of trying to unite the scene. Was besides the groups that I mentioned in the last blogs, this was like more of the modern era of me trying to unite these local groups, because I selected these groups based on the fact that these are the people that were actually movers and shakers in the local scene, people that were actually consistently putting out music. There's always going to be a high volume of people that call themselves artists or rappers, and this might hurt a lot of people's feelings, but to me, I think that a lot of people call themselves rappers because it's the easiest way that you can claim that you're a musician. Because everybody raps. I mean, let's be honest, grade school, we were taught nursery rhymes. You know what I'm saying? So the easiest way to call yourself a musician is to say, hey, I'm a rapper. But if you're trying to attempt to control your brand as far as the marketing and setting up events and designing flyers and making all the phone calls and emails necessary and talking to the necessary people and all that, it takes something different. Writing and being involved in the recording process and the production and having your hand in every cookie jar and making sure that you got everything handled, that's a whole different animal. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. They look at their stars. A lot of people look at the stars on TV and think that because it looks easy, because they're having a good time smoking blunts in the studio and just writing a song in the studio, they don't realize that the label's paying for that. So a lot of people try to treat their method or their process the same way as they see stars. They try to emulate. That's what's messed up about the music business. People try to emulate individuals that are already celebrities, that have already accomplished their goal, they're already there. So it's like you can't really apply your local unsigned independent, whatever it may be, level to how they behave, because there was a lot of work involved, whether it was that artist or someone behind the scenes. There's a lot of footwork involved and a lot of buttons to be pushed and levers to be pulled in order for those people to get in that position that they were in. So a lot of people don't see that. So how we get into the founding of the Ironworkers Guild, and this is going to be a long drawn out story, is the first step. I always wanted to gradually elevate and evolve what I was doing, and the first step was local. That was the Ironworkers Guild. I mean, the new hip hop movement. And then I took the next step, which was statewide, which was after I had broke off from some of the members, the Cutthroats. Myself and the Cutthroats started traveling across the state. I would set up shows and they would drive there. And I didn't have transportation at the time. And I noticed that they were one of the groups that was actually consistently trying to put out music and do something. And I respect people that, like I said from the beginning, I respect those that have a work ethic and have talent and are trying to apply that. That's one thing that I think stands out. You got to have a balance between talent and application of your talent, work. A lot of people, when things start feeling too much like work, they don't want to deal with it. And, they think that it's just music is just all fun and games, and that's excuse to party. But when you treat it as a craft, there's a lot of work put into it. It takes a long time to write the songs and mix the songs, master the songs. Coming from my era, in the age of the single age right now, where it's just constantly pump out songs, it's usually more about jingles and what's more catchy and appealing. But from an old school or true school MC standpoint, we like to, and there are still people that are young that treat it the same way today. I'm not trying to discriminate against age, but it's more of a classic approach or traditional approach to the craft of being a rapper or MC, which is putting time and effort into your work. And it's poetry, and you have to make sure that the idea is expressed in the correct way. And to me, there has to be equal parts of your storytelling ability, your flow, your cadence, your approach, your punchlines. Not necessarily always punchlines, but to me, I've always had a ear for people that have technical ability as rapping. A good prime example in the mainstream of that would be Eminem. That's what people he blew everybody away when he became mainstream, because you had never really seen up to that point, maybe I'd say Big Pun, maybe, or Wu-Tang, you had never seen somebody that had an in the pocket rhyme style, a technical delivery like that, that was actually successful on a pop music level. So that's what me and my cohorts and affiliates have always viewed people that had technical rhyme abilities as the best. But that was like one of the times that somebody finally broke through, and there had been people before that and after that that had never been blessed enough to reach that type of popularity. But to the mainstream eye, that's their guy. That's the king that everybody salutes. Jay-Z would be another one. He's more of a, I don't know if he's got so much. I mean, he's got technical capability, but I don't want to turn this into a evaluation of pop stars. Okay, we're talking about ground level stuff here. So, Ironworkers Guild was one of my affiliates, longtime affiliates, Science Born, also known as T.J. Hooks, Mel Chapo, the Monster. He's known by many names, Mello the One. Longtime affiliate of mine. He introduced me to someone that had a production style, somebody that made beats that had a production style, and he told me he also rhymed and sounded like some Wu-Tang affiliates. It was reminiscent of Wu-Tang. So I started, this were the days of MySpace, 2007, 2008. So we connected with him. His name was Wooden Chains. He's went on to do a few things with a few people here and there. And mostly known for his collaborations with Bronze Nazareth and Kevlar 7. And so I had this idea. I took some of the people loosely affiliated with new hip hop movement. I took some of the people that were coming at me. A few people like Stone Messiah, for instance, was one of them who actually approached me and said, basically, teach me how to rap or teach me how to be better. I love what you do. Put me on. Like, show me how you do this. How do you do this thing? And that's one of the things that I've been wary of since then. Is a lot of people, they come to you with their hands out. Not necessarily their hands out, I wouldn't say. But, I mean, there's no other way to put it. The whole concept of a handshake is to show someone that you don't have a weapon in your hand. You understand? So if somebody approaches you in a peaceful manner, in a humble manner, humbles themselves before you and says, I like what you're doing, and you are a wise person, and I want you to teach me some of the things you know, right? Some people will adhere to that, and they will be loyal and faithful to that situation. Other people, once you teach them just enough for them to think that they're just as good or better than you, it's the classic disciple versus the teacher situation, And it might make me sound arrogant, but those around me and those who are affiliated with me and those who know me know that I have put in a lot of work for this, and I know a lot, and a lot of people have approached me trying to work with me and be affiliated with me on a local level. Not to say I'm a superstar. These people just see I make moves on a local level and on a regional level, and I know a few people, a few connects. I know how to get things done, so they want to approach me. But see, the thing is, there are a select few people that have been loyal from the beginning until now. You have ups and downs with everyone, but certain people will literally turn their back on you once they feel they've acquired enough information, or they feel like they've learned enough from you to be able to be your competition, your competitor. So I mean, it's only natural. It's almost like a child, when a young man reaches puberty and he tries to challenge his father. It's just the testosterone in him. So, but there are some people that realize and recognize that I've done nothing since I've been in this music but try to push people forward that come to me in that manner. I've never been somebody to try to hate on the next person. I have an opinion. I'm an opinionated person, and my opinions are strong. And I have somewhat of a small platform, and when I express my opinions, people are going to hear my opinion. So that might make a few people angry, But it is what it is. I'm entitled to an opinion as a man, and I'm gonna keep speaking what I believe in. We can agree to disagree. But basically, the next blog coming up is going to be me talking about the transition of new hip-hop movement into the Ironworkers Guild, IWG, which consisted of Stone Messiah, Sia Soze, Big Pipe, Shake C, Wooden Chains, The Problem, a man called Relic, myself, Science Born. And basically, it was like a miniature Wu-Tang clan, like a junior Wu-Tang, right? And it was all part of a plan that I had that didn't get to be executed correctly because of some of the issues that I just spoke of, about people being starstruck, people not having a good work ethic when it comes down to it, and people not being willing to be loyal to a principle or a cause. based around a set of principles, which is, here's the concept of the group. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how many shows we're going to do. Here's who we're going to open for. Here's how many albums we're going to release. I had it all laid out. But, as soon as people get a few connects on the strength of me, you know what they think? Oh, well, I don't need this guy. It's just like in the major industry. The same thing happens in the major industry. So I know what they deal with, because human beings are human beings. Whether we could have been a crew at McDonald's or something, and the same thing could have happened. It's like working class people tend to treat each other like tyrants whenever we get an ounce of power. If we were a crew at McDonald's and all of a sudden one of us became the manager, next thing you know, you can be trying to boss around your homeboys. Some people are just built like that, others aren't. But anyway, that's this for now, and I'll talk about IWG in the future. We're going to delve on to the topic of specifics, who did what, who said what, and all this, because I know there's some people out there that were big fans of IWG in Europe and in America that I talk to online that are familiar. I mean, our albums got bootlegged. I've seen them bootlegged overseas and stuff like that. So I mean, it's like, we were starting to make a significant impact, but it's always a shame when things like that don't get to see their full growth because of a few people that think that they're better than the team, I should say. Peace.